for class today, you'll want to have a blanket, maybe two blankets or a blanket and a towel, and your massage ball, your strap, and your 2 blocks. Those for sure we're going to use today. And as I mentioned, a chair would be nice because we're going to do a couple of things with the chair, or something like a chair that's stable. Specifically, I'll let you know ahead of time, we're going to do like a downward dog variety. So if you don't want a chair and you'd rather just do downward dog, you can do that. And then also kind of the pyramid pose, where you're facing front and you bend forward really deeply. Usually we can use 2 blocks, but if that's not quite enough support, then the seat of a chair, so maybe like waist height, just so you give you a little preview there. Okay, let's get settled wherever you are. Just take a couple of breaths. Feel your sits bones supported by whatever is beneath you. Let your eyes close if you'd like to, or you can leave them open with a soft gaze. As you breathe in, feel the air moving through your nostrils. As you breathe out, see if you can breathe out through the nostrils as well. Feeling the coolness of the air as it rushes in through the nostrils. And then feeling the air is a little warmer as you exhale through the nose. So I'm going to read this little teaching. I love this teaching. And then we're going to apply it to our yoga practice today, as usual. This is from an article by, I don't know who the writer is, it didn't say, Beth Shalom in, I think, Illinois. So it says, the month of no holidays, Mar Heshvan, which is what we're in now. After the seeming endlessness of the holidays last month in Tishrei, the month of Heshvan, also called Mar Heshvan, is the one month in the Jewish calendar without any holidays or religious observances other than Shabbat. Called Mar, which means bitter, Heshvan because the absence of Jewish holidays, the month is actually a stroke of brilliance in the genius of the Jewish calendar cycle. After the activity of Tishrei with Rosh Hashanah's spirituality and Yom Kippur's introspection, rolling into the joy of Sukkot and the Zaman Simchatenu, time for our rejoicing, of Simchat Torah, we all need a bit of a pause to absorb it, to take a breath, to stop for a moment. Heshvan gives us a pause. Heshvan is a time to rejoice in the beauty of seasonal change, enjoying God's paintbrush upon the autumn leaves. It's an opportunity to take a look around and experience the beauty of nature. Listen to the wind rustling through the fallen and falling leaves, to experience God's ruach, as we have begun to add the words Mashiv haruach umorid hagashem, which means cause the wind to blow and rain to fall. We add this to the daily recitation of the Amidah and continue it until Pesach. So right away, when it starts talking about, going from all the activity into a time to pause and absorb, I right away thought about Shavasana. That is the exact reason we take Shavasana, is we move from this active asana practice, movement practice, and then we lie down and we integrate. And that is the most important pose of yoga, is the Shavasana, without a doubt. The allowing things to be, to settle, and to integrate. And I also think that when we do our yoga practice, our movement practice, we move through seasons, right? So we start our warm-ups, we're in the season of spring, right? We're warming our body up, we're just starting to awaken. And then we move into our standing poses or some of our heat building poses, and that's our summer within our body. And then the fall of our body is when we slow down, we start to do postures like forward folds, things that really bring us into an introspective state. And then we move toward winter, which is our Shavasana. This is the time where we just lie down and do nothing. This is like a hibernation of sorts. So I love that every time we do a yoga practice, if we include Shavasana, we go through all the seasons in the world. We go through them inside of our bodies. So we're going to work with this information and awareness, and then during Shavasana we'll settle into that a little bit more, this having this Mar Heshvan within the body. So how do we want to do this? Let's do some seated warm-ups. So just start to do some inhale, reach up, and exhale, hands to your heart. Really big breath in, and exhale, hands to the heart. Good. Bring your hands to your shoulders and just do some gentle twists, keeping the belly engaged. And notice, maybe if you slow down, you can notice your range of motion. Do you have more mobility in the upper back, lower back? Good. Bring your hands to your knees and start to round the back, doing a little cat-cow sequence. So rounding the whole back, looking toward your knees or toward the floor. And then as you inhale, arch your back. Bring those sits bones back behind you. With your breath, exhaling into cat. Inhaling into cow. Do a couple more of those. Just noticing the movement of the spine in flexion and extension. Good. And then come back upright and turn your head from one side to the other while keeping your shoulders as stable as possible. Bring your head all the way to one side and pause and in stillness, and then take a deep breath. Exhale through center. Inhale as you turn to the other side. Pausing in a little stretch here. Exhale through center. Good. Tilt one ear to one shoulder. Breathe. Good. And other ear to other shoulder. Breathe. Good. Come back to center. Do some big shoulder circles. Both directions. Good. Okay, we are going to do something I think is really fun. We're going to really open up the back of the body in order to prepare for our standing pose, which is a deep stretch for the whole back of the body. And we're going to use our massage ball. And I didn't try this on the chair. You can try this on the chair if you'd like. You can definitely use the chair with the ball under your upper thigh. If you're on the floor, I found that through all this experimentation that if you place the block under your leg and the ball on top of the block, it gives you more distinct pressure in the muscles. So you can play with it however works for you today. We're going to bring the ball just behind the knee and up, just above the back of the knee. And we'll start to just roll the leg from side to side. If you find any sore spots, you can pause there and allow the fascia that surrounds that hamstring to just have a chance to soften a bit. And try moving the ball up. We're going to go as high as we can. Notice if you feel more on the inside of the inside part of your hamstring or on the outer edge of your hamstring. At some point, if you're using the block under your leg as well, you'll have to remove it so that you can get right up to that sits bone area. You keep doing that. I'm going to try this out on the chair as well. So with the chair, if you're doing it, you can let your leg hang, which could feel more intense, and you can also use a block under your foot to help adjust the pressure, which takes a lot of pressure off of the ball on the muscle. So you're going to try to get all the way up towards your sits bone. When you get there, I would recommend, if you're in a chair, to use a block because you can really control the pressure. On the floor, it's not as intense. You'll pause and breathe and just kind of visualize those muscles softening and melting around the ball. Good. And then go ahead and just shake your leg out. And we'll go to the other side. I'm going to come and look at your practice for a second. Can you raise your hand and give me a wave if you are in your chair, if you're doing this from a chair? Okay, good, thank you. Finding some little sore spots? So we pray for rain and wind in this season, which makes me think of Mayim Chayyim, the waters of life, and how within our body we have the waters of life, and that our breath is the ruach, right? That within our body there's even these, deep inside are the seasons, the waters of life, the blowing of the wind. So just thinking of that, keep that in mind as you move through these practices, that we're really supporting the waters of life to flow when we do these. Good. If you've gotten to your sits bone, that's great. If you haven't, take another 30 seconds to get up in there and pause and let the tissue soften. Okay, stretch your leg out, give it a little shake. next thing we're going to do can be, I'm going to model this from the floor. You can adjust this from the chair using your ball. You'll just need to use a little more arm pressure, but the location's going to be exactly the same. We're going to release the psoas, which is a super big, deep hip flexor. So you can come to the floor. You can lie on your belly. If it bothers your lower back to lie on your belly, you can add a little blanket with a little roll underneath and put your hips on it. That'll help put it right above your hips so it's kind of in the lower belly area if you need to. That's just something that's an option. See what works for you. But we are going to place this ball. We've done this before. We're going to place the ball, if you find your belly button, we're going to move over about an inch to the right side of the belly button and put the ball there. I'm using a tennis ball today. That's kind of a nice bigger ball to use, but your massage balls that you have, the little pink ones, are fine. So you can control this. You're coming onto your forearms into kind of a sphinx pose. If you're sitting in a chair, you're going to just place the ball in the place I just mentioned and just gently press in toward the center and breathe out and play with getting some massage in that area. So this could feel kind of achy. That's natural because this muscle can be chronically tight. So it could feel a little achy when you're on it. If you move, if you're on your belly and you move your upper body a little bit to the right, you'll press into different areas of the psoas. You can play with lowering it. So we'd go from where I had you start and you go lower. And you play with some areas that are maybe more sensitive than others. Focusing on your exhale. We'll take a couple more breaths wherever you are. So with this exercise, you can go low, you can go all the way down to the inside of your frontal hip bone. These are the kind of activities that need a lot of patience because we get benefit when we are slow and intentional. Good. We're going to take a little child's pose or do some kind of a stretch for your lower back. From a chair, we're doing seated rounding of the back, or maybe even folding forward with the head between the knees to release the back area. And then we'll switch over to the other side. You can come back to the belly. This time we're going about an inch to the left of the belly button. Just gently coming down onto that pressure. One side might be tighter than the other. If you feel any intense sensations, notice if you have any clenching happening as a result of anywhere in your body. See if there are areas you could soften and release as you do this. Feel free to move that ball south down toward the hip bone. Let's take a few more breaths. And then just roll off to the side, remove that ball. And just lie flat on your belly. If you are on your belly, just lie flat for a second and take a breath. If you're in a chair, fold forward to get some circulation back into the head. And then we're all going to flip over onto our backs. We're going to use our straps here for some leg stretches. So if it feels good to hug your knees into your chest, go ahead and do that. And then we'll bring the strap around the right foot. And decide what you're going to do with your left leg, straight or bent. And slide those shoulders down away from your ears. It's always a good idea to do that, whether you're seated or lying down. Just get those shoulders out of the ears. Flex your foot and give your hamstring a nice stretch. And then just play with some little micro movements. Let your leg move from side to side and look for places that feel maybe drier. You know, like the living waters may not be as much flowing in those areas. So pausing and breathing, bringing ruach to these areas. You can play with bringing the leg out to the side if you'd like, getting an inner thigh stretch. Good. And then just place your left foot where your right foot was, and we'll switch over to the other side. Maybe getting into that inner thigh, or perhaps your outer hip is tighter today. You want to cross over the body a little bit. It's listening to the body's needs. Good. Let's go ahead and release the strap. Place it off to the side and just hug your knees into your chest, or take a forward fold if seated. Release the lower back. And then we're going to roll to the side and come on up. We'll come back to the massage ball and do some standing massage for the feet. So start with your right foot. So as I've said many times, the fascia in the foot, the base of the foot travels up the back of the body. So it's great to get into the feet, which is going to help release the rest of the back of the body. Find a spot on that foot that feels a little tight and pause there and breathe. Okay, so I wrote down all these, I couldn't believe these percentages. Some of you probably already know this. Besides that, the body overall is made up of 60% water. Specifically, the brain and heart are 73% water. Whew, switch sides. Start doing a little overall massage first. Okay, so brain and heart, 73% water. The lungs are 83% water. Your skin is made up of 64% water. Muscles and kidneys, 79% water. Even your bones, 31% water. With an overall water of 60%. And then that's just the water. So then you have your blood, which is, on the average person, 10 to 12 pints of blood are being produced throughout the day. And your lymphatic system, your lymph, which is key to your immune system, what did it say? It was about 8 to 12 liters produced per day. What? So we are just this whole ecosystem of living waters. Find a sore spot and pause there. Good, and go ahead and move that ball off to the side. Rock up onto your toes for a second and then come back down. See if you can get that weight to be equally distributed across the base of your foot. It's very challenging. Usually the ankles will roll in or roll out. See if you can just come up straight up, and you can use your chair for support if you'd like. Good. Can you hear my toes are popping? And the microphone is close, so I apologize if you hear my toes popping. Good. All right, go ahead and take a little bit, just about a hip width stance, maybe a tiny bit wider. We're gonna rub our hands together. Get them warm, bring them to the lower back area, and just massage, like do a little rubbing of the kidney area, lower back. Good, and then to start to bounce and rub those kidneys. And sometimes it helps to flip your hand so that the back of your hand and your knuckles are rubbing. That's kind of a little nicer adjustment. Good. And then shake out your arms. We're going to, I'll go sideways for this. See if it's warm enough to take my flannel off. So we're gonna keep soft knees and breathe in and out. In with the palms down and then out, kind of like you're grabbing life force and bringing it in. It's not as vigorous as some of the other ones we've done. And then just a little bit up. Draw it in. Get your ruach flowing. Good. And then pause. Notice if you feel a little more oxygenated just from that. And then we're gonna, it's always hard to start this one. It's like a crisscross. Let's see. You breathe in. Opposite, right? Left arm and then right knee. And then right arm, left knee. It's a little cross crawl. And brain balancing. Good, y'all look great. I love that you can do this. Also from seated, I'm doing more and more chair yoga and chair exercises. Lately, there's so much we can do with a chair. Good, and take a break. Open up your legs wider than hip width and just do some hip circles. Good. So for your chest today, we'll just do a little warm up with a strap. Go ahead and bring your strap behind you with your palms facing away. And Drop your shoulders down away from your ears, and if I'm standing, you're about hip width apart with the feet, and then just start to bend the knees and bring that strap up and back behind you to wherever you feel a stretch. With the strap, you want to do a little pulling of the strap, create tension there, and then reach up with your arms and hands. Good, and then start to come up with a flat back, nice and slow. You can hold on to the strap still, pull the belly in, and then if the rib cage is kind of flaring out, you want to tuck that rib cage back over your hips, and then keep reaching down and a little bit out behind you to help open the chest area. Good, release the strap, do some shoulder circles. We're gonna move into our standing sequence. So this is where the chair is very helpful. The chair can be at the top of your mat, or your blocks. If you're not using a chair, you can have your blocks also up at the top of your mat. So we're going to start with warrior one. So that right foot is forward, left foot is back. Bend the right knee. Go as shallow with that bend or as deep as you want. Up to you. Just make sure that your knee isn't going past your toes. And then bring those arms up. Your back foot is connected to the mat. Your belly is pulled in. Good. Warrior one. Think of just rotating your waist and shoulders to the front of your mat. Don't worry about your hips shifting forward, especially if that causes you discomfort in your lower back. Then we're going to bring our hands behind us. So you're either going to clasp your hands, or you're going to create little jet wings and press your palms up toward the sky. So you've got a choice there depending on what's available in your body. And breathe. You can look straight ahead. Good. Okay, so now we're going to go into our pyramid pose. So you can release your hands and straighten the front leg. And now we're going to steer those hips toward the seat of the chair or toward the top of the mat. You'll want to probably step your back foot up a foot or two at least, so that you have more movement in the ribs and in the hips. From here, we've done this before. You're going to start to tip forward with a flat back. Notice if you're really hyperextending that leg or have it really locked out. If you do, bring a tiny little bend to the front knee and come down using the chair for support or blocks. Good. Pull the belly in to protect your lower back. Shift your right hip back just a little bit and your left hip forward. Squeeze the thigh muscle, the quadricep, to help free the back of the leg. Very nice. From here, we're going to hold, if you're already holding onto the chair, move your hands out to the side, the edges of the chair, and step your foot back. We're going to take a modified downward dog. So everyone will look a little different. We're looking for an underarm stretch. So some of you, if you're too far forward, it's just your elbows will be bent. So you want to walk your feet away from the chair enough so that you can start to press your chest between your arms. Then my palms now are flat on the chair. You can still hold the edge of the chair, but it feels nice also to have the palms flat on the chair. Breathe here. Tilt your hip bones forward. So tilt the pelvis forward to stretch that hamstring that we massaged. Good. To come out of this, you can start to come up and walk your feet forward until you feel like you can safely stand up without stressing out your lower back. Very nice. Bring your hands up and overhead, palms together, and just take a little back bend. And hands to the heart. Let's take the same sequence. We're going to do this. We're going to sit down on the chair now. Come to the edge of the chair and cross your right ankle over your left thigh. So if that's out of reach for you to get that leg up over the thigh, you can bring the leg over the shin instead. And we're all going to hinge forward. So play with what gets you a stretch feeling in the right hip. Do some ankle rotations. Good. Let's take 3 more mindful breaths, focusing on that outer hip or wherever else you might be feeling this stretch. Good, and then come on up. We'll take the right foot. We'll bring both feet together first, and then take the right foot and just step it out about, maybe 1.5 feet. So it's out to the edge a little bit. So from the front, that looks like this. So what we're doing is we're going to free up your lower back for a twist. So you step the right foot out and then bring your left hand to your right thigh and your other arm behind you, holding onto the chair. So if we kept our legs together, that twist would be a lot more intense. So this just helps you take a more gentle twist. One more breath here. And slowly unwind. Good. And now we'll do the same sequence on the other side. So make sure your chair is set up. If you're using it, your blocks are by your side. We'll take a warrior 1 with that left foot forward. Heel to heel alignment. Arms are up to start. Good. Settling into warrior 1. Feeling some heat building, so kind of in the summer of our seasons right now with our standing poses. You can take the arm variation of your choice, anything that's going to open the chest area. Good, release your arm variation. Step your back foot up a little bit, enough so that both feet can be flat on the floor and those hip bones can be turned toward the front of your mat or toward your chair. And start to tip forward, flat back, chair as support or blocks. Watching out for the knee not to lock the knee out. Good. Pull the belly in, so really engage it. It's going to keep your lower back safer. Shift the left hip back a tiny bit and that right hip forward. Good. Really engage the belly again as you press into the chair or blocks to start to lift yourself up, and then we'll take our our chair version of a downward dog. So step your left foot back and adjust your feet so that you can really let the chest and head come through the arms. Here, obviously, if you want to take a downward dog with your hands on the mat, you're more than welcome to. breathing here. Good. Re-engage the belly. Start to come up. Walk your feet in so that your feet are under your hips again, and then come up with a flat back. Good. We're going to turn around to sit on our chair, and we'll come to the edge of the chair and cross the left ankle over the right thigh this time. Do some ankle rotations. Sit up nice and tall. And then if you would like to tip forward, looking for some stretch in that left outer hip. Okay, we're going to come out of this, bring the feet together to start, facing straight ahead, and then walk your left foot out to the side, just a foot or so. Bring your right hand to your left thigh and your left hand behind you somewhere, grabbing onto the chair possibly. Slide your shoulders down your back. Sit up nice and tall. Breathe. And unwind your twist. Good. From the chair, go ahead and inhale, reach your arms up. And then exhale, bring your hands to your thighs and start to fold forward. You can go as far as you want. Your head could hang, or you could keep it level with the rest of your spine. Just taking your version of a forward fold. I like to keep my hands on the thighs because then when I start to come up, I can press into my thighs just to support the lower back from taking on any unnecessary pressure or strain. Wonderful. So we're going to move into our Shavasana. So I'm glad that worked out. Maybe it was good timing for some of you that have to go. We're going to keep the chair nearby because I encourage you to use it. Or whatever you have to put your lower legs on when you get ready to lie back. For Shavasana, I will encourage you to set your body up in the most comfortable way possible. So a blanket under, like a thinly folded blanket or small rolled towel for under your neck. And then the second blanket or towel, your choice, will go over your hips. So scoot your butt as close as you can to whatever's going to support your lower legs. Obviously, this is an option. You don't have to do this. This is just what I am offering for today. So head resting on a folded blanket, maybe a blanket over the hips or over the chest, ribs, and hips, whatever feels really good and nourishing. Let your arms rest in a way that feels good as well. So that could be out to the sides, or maybe you'll want to have contact with your body, with your belly. If there's anything you've noticed in your body that still feels a little like it needs to stretch or move, please feel free to do that before you come into your Shavasana, your Mar Heshvan of the practice. So moving into the space of non-doing, this time of integration, of pausing. And every pause is a potent, powerful pause. So even if you only have 1 minute to pause, that is a powerful minute. Always remember that. It's not all or nothing. It's something. And as your body comes to stillness on the surface, know that there is so much happening under the surface of your skin. Getting a sense of those living waters, the Mayim Chayyim, the blood, the water, the lymphatic fluids, all moving. All carrying life force. And as your body holds these living waters, as you rest and pause, notice any ripples in your mind and allow them to start to calm down like a pond without any disturbance. Just still and reflective. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher be'ado nefesh kol chai veruach kol besarish. Praised are you, Adonai, sovereign of the universe, in whose hand is every living soul and the breath of humankind. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher be'ado nefesh kol chai veruach kol besarish. Praised are you, Adonai, sovereign of the universe, in whose hand is every living soul and the breath of humankind, and the breath of humankind. Become aware of the ruach, of the spirit, the breath, moving through the nostrils. Slightly cooler as you inhale and slightly warmer as you exhale. And bring a hand to your heart and a hand to your belly and pause there. Just asking your inner wisdom, is there a place in your life where you need to pause to integrate? Is there a place in your life that would benefit from stopping for a break for whatever period of time? Allow yourself to take a couple more really deep breaths just to help awaken the senses. Perhaps allowing the eyes to open, let in the light. And take your time rolling to one side. Maybe hugging those knees into your chest one more time. And rising up as you're ready. Allow your hands to settle at your heart in prayer position or Anjali Mudra. And I invite you to close our practice with our universal blessing. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free. May all beings be loved, and may all beings have peace. May it be so. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Shalom.